political persecution like something straight out of a fascist or a communist nation. This day will go down in infamy.
He was silent and stoic in front of a judge, but former President Trump had a lot to say on what was an historic day in America. Today, he was in federal court pleading not guilty to 37 charges of mishandling classified documents. Prosecutors allege the former president put national security at risk.
It's the first time in U.S. history a former president has been indicted on criminal charges. Fox's Sharon Crowley has a closer look at his day in court.
His supporters waving flags and running into the street as former President Donald Trump arrives at the federal courthouse in Miami.
USA! USA!
Trump's lawyers entering a plea of not guilty to federal charges of mishandling classified documents. The former president sat silently in front of the judge with his arms crossed and at times appeared to be scowling. This is Trump's first court appearance after being indicted on 37 charges of mishandling classified documents. Prosecutors allege the former president put national security at risk by storing top-secret materials in a bathroom, ballroom, and storage rooms at Mar-a-Lago. Trump has denied any wrongdoing. After his brief court appearance, defendant Trump turned candidate again. His motorcade making a stop at a Cuban restaurant in Little Havana to greet supporters. Some in the crowd singing happy birthday. Trump turns 77 Wednesday. The former president may have tried to lighten the mood, but his legal troubles are serious. He's charged with violating the Espionage Act, obstruction of justice, willful retention of national security information, and more. Imran Ansari is a trial lawyer here in New York City and a former ADA.
His own words are going to be the strongest evidence that they have, the prosecutor has, against Donald Trump, which are arguably admissions that he knew that these documents were classified.
The first former president in U.S. history to be indicted on criminal charges was released on his own recognizance. The judge ordering Trump, though, not to talk to other witnesses about the case, including co-defendant and Trump's aide, Walt Nauta. Nauta stood by Trump's side in the courtroom and joined him at the cafe.
The judge ordered that they have no contact with each other about or regarding this case. So that's ordinary, but they are going to still be able to work together and be in each other's close company. So I think that that's a concern for the prosecutors, who would love to get Mr. Nauta to flip on them and to provide some sort of information that would be negative for Mr. Trump.
Sharon Crowley, Fox News.
Breaking news, the vote is in on a controversial proposal that would ban LGBTQ pride, political and religious flags from being flown on Hamtramck City property.
It's a story we first brought to you at 10. Fox News' Dave Kinchin now has the very latest after a very lively meeting and now a decision, Dave.
Yeah, that decision just came down moments ago. This was a very lively meeting, as you said, 3.5 hours of public comment, and there were a lot of emails that they had to read through, too, as people were watching this probably all over the country. Again, that measure passing, that means that anything that's deemed, in the words of this resolution, political or dealing with religious groups or groups of various sexual orientations and more will be banned. Flags will be banned on city property, so that would include certainly City Hall, the library, any city property, even parks as well. Now, we did talk to some opponents of this whole measure. They say it's too early to figure out their next steps, but they certainly had a lot to say tonight. A passionate embrace by an LGBTQ couple inside Hamtramck City Council meeting Tuesday night, protesting a resolution that would ban LGBTQ pride, political, and religious flags from being flown on city property.
It is clear that you are either ignorant or hateful and spiteful.
This might be a little on the nose for you, and if you don't like this poster, I do have another one. This is obviously we'll have to paint over the rainbow on the mural because that is a little too gay. But we will have the world in 2 straight miles, so it's a little bit it's covert.
Supporters of the proposal say it's all about being neutral. The resolution says Hamtramck embraces diversity, but should not show special treatment to any group.
I think the elephant in the room, the thing we all see, the thing we're not talking about, is that homosexuality is a sin.
The language reads in part, the city of Hamtramck does not allow any religious, ethnic, racial, political, or sexual orientation group flags to be flown on the city's public properties, and that only the American flag, the flag of the state of Michigan, the Hamtramck flag, and the prisoner of war flag on city property.
I am a Lebanese person, and I support the American flag. We are not going to sit here and tolerate you guys coming and say, oh, it's Pride Month. You're gay? No problem. You be gay by yourselves, not by, don't sit here and throw it down kids' throats, my throat, or anybody's throat.
Symbols promoting political causes like LGBTQ issues have been posted on many government properties, including the governor's mansion in Lansing, where gay rights and transgender flags fly over the front door. But many say the issue is at the local level and should vary from community to community.
And this is a historic moment, a moment where the basic rights of LGBTQ folks are under attack.
So that's how the debate went throughout the night. 3.5 hours of public comment. Again, that measure passing, meaning that public property, city property, there cannot be any LGBTQ or BLM or any political flags as the city deems it on any city property as well. Also any flags that deal with other political issues too. That's the word here in Hamtramck. Reporting live, Dave Kinchin on The Edge.
It is absolutely misleading to tell people that this is a way to help, make the city have the proper amount. The city of Troy is not even looking at this issue right now.
Troy's mayor says do your research if you're asked to sign a petition. Mayor Ethan Baker says local petitioners are using misinformation to get signatures for a proposal that would overturn Troy's ban on pot shops. But they're misleading residents, saying the petition will keep the facilities away from schools and churches. Baker is reminding Troy residents that the city has no plans to change its policy on pot shops. A major update tonight in the high-profile disappearance of Zion Foster.
Although the teen's body has never been found, her cousin has now been charged with first-degree murder. Let's get right to Fox 2's Dave Spencer. He has more on Jalen Brazier's return to court today. Dave.
Yeah, Rip, just 5 months after being paroled for lying to police about Zion Foster's disappearance, Jalen Brazier is back in prison after being denied bond during today's arraignment. A murder charge in the case of 17-year-old Zion Foster came 1 year and 5 months after she was first reported missing. And her cousin, 24-year-old Jalen Brazier, the last person known to have seen her, now faces that charge.
The defendant took a young woman's life, disposed of her remains, and then repeatedly obstructed the investigation into her disappearance.
You may remember this is a case in which Zion's body was never found. Her cousin, Jalen Brazier, was convicted for lying to police, saying he panicked and put her body in a dumpster after she fell unconscious, after they had both smoked weed. He admitted he lied to police and served a sentence of 10 months in jail for perjury.
He made a plea, and he served his time in the correctional facility for those charges.
So what has changed since that time? In court, when the prosecutor started down that path, he was stopped by the judge.
There is a suppression order. I just want to remind you on suppressing any, well, I'm sure you read it, sir, from your office.
No, I understand, Your Honor, and we did move to suppress the warrant once it was entered into the system, just so that there wouldn't be any interference with the arrest. But I do feel that
it also indicates suppression of the investigator's report, as well as the warrant information and witness list.
But the defense attorney says even though he was just assigned this case, he finds it hard to believe enough has changed to warrant holding his client without a bond.
This is at least the third time the prosecutor's office has tried to bring charges against my client for the disappearance and alleged murder of Zion Foster. And they've been told multiple times you do not have enough evidence.
That attorney says a lack of progress in the case shouldn't be held against Brazier.
This is a 2022 case. You know what stopped this case? The Detroit police not doing their job, period. And that's not anything my client did.
the idea that the Detroit Police Department did not do their job is frankly offensive, given that it's been publicly reported in this case that officers of the Detroit Police Department risk their own health to dig and dig and dig through a landfill.
Despite keeping the evidence in this case secret for now, the magistrate says he saw enough to hold the defendant without a bond.
I've had the opportunity to review the investigator's report, and it is extremely concerning.
Siding with the prosecutor, who says he could potentially try and run away.
During the course of his parole, he has inquired with the Michigan Department of Corrections about relocating to the state of Nevada.
He does not have the means to go anywhere. He just started a job a month ago. He lives with his family. He has a wife and 2 children here. He is not a flight risk at all. He doesn't have the means, and he doesn't have anything necessary to go anywhere, let alone out of the state of Michigan.
So now Brazier will wait in custody at least until his next court appearance, which is scheduled for July 3rd. Reporting live in the studio tonight, Dave Spencer on The Edge. Taryn.
Well, Dave, we heard the prosecutor hint at having some new evidence, and for a first-degree murder charge, it must be pretty substantial. Do we know when we might learn more about that?
Yeah, and you also heard the judge talk about there was enough to hold them there at least without a bond. So we are hoping to learn more about that evidence during the preliminary trial, which is a week after that July 3rd court. So his second court appearance is when we hope to know more. That's the middle of July.
All right, and Fox 2 will be there. Thanks, Dave.
If they could just tell the true story of what happened and why they didn't go back for her, why they didn't help her more, I would really want to know that.
Another local mother is desperately seeking answers after her daughter was found on a Southfield street with a severe head injury. She would die at the hospital just days later. Surveillance video from June 3rd shows Mia Canoe either falling or being pushed out of a car on Providence Drive after leaving a party with 2 other people. We're told they're being cooperative with police. At the very least, they'll likely be charged for leaving Mia on the road to die. The young woman was home for the summer from Tennessee State, where she was studying to become a veterinarian. Well, this is what happens when we go weeks without rain and then find ourselves under a downpour. Fox 2 crews came across some flash flooding in Royal Oak this evening, making conditions challenging for cars and people trying to ride their bikes. In addition to the rain, we've actually been in a bit of a cold front. You probably noticed that.
You know, Rich, you told our producer that your furnace actually kicked on last night in mid-June.
My boiler came on last night and it was running again this morning. Some of us started the day in the upper 40s with some showers. Certainly the area of low pressure that's been with us for the last 36 hours is beginning to pull away from the area. Notice the heavy, steady rains down over Indiana, parts of Ohio, western Pennsylvania. But late this afternoon and this evening, we had some gusty winds, some heavy downpours, some lightning, and even some small hail in spots. Thankfully, all of that has shifted down into Ohio. Still some light showers going on through Lenawee and Monroe counties, but even that will be ending shortly. Up around Pontiac and Howell, up around Mount Clemens, the rain is over. Notice some of the rainfall totals, better than an inch in some spots along 696. There was a bullseye of better than 2 inches of rain over the open waters of Lake St. Clair. 72 degrees with splashes of sun today, but we also picked up better than 1/10 of an inch at the airport. Certainly, some of us saw a lot more than 1/10 of an inch with those brief heavy downpours. Right now, it's chilly once again. Some furnaces, some boilers could be clicking on tonight. Numbers for a lot of us in the middle 50s. Thankfully, not a lot of wind out there. Check out the cool spots. Cadillac, 50 degrees. There's Fort Wayne, 59. Also chilly out east. Buffalo, 57 degrees. The warm spots are way out west, but they are coming our way for the weekend. Watch what happens in the short term. Low pressure pulls away from the region. There it goes, taking the wet weather with it. Tomorrow's a pretty good looking day. Then Thursday, one more piece of energy comes at us from a northwest flow. So a couple of more showers on Thursday likely. Then we set up for a very nice stretch into the weekend. For the rest of tonight, showers will be ending down there in Lenawee and Monroe counties, down to 51, the overnight lows. Tomorrow back to 76. Go Tigers, a doubleheader tomorrow. Very comfortable in the afternoon. And then check out the 7-day forecast. More showers Thursday. And how about that? Friday, Saturday, Sunday looking great. Even warm into next week. Group and Taryn a full check at 4 a.m.